Can you make as much money grooming pets as you can as a stylist for humans?
100%. And really, it's the model that allows that, because when you think about it, if we can get 3 dogs on the table an hour, and it's $90 an hour, that's $270 of service revenue an hour.
The Franchise Hot Seat is for information and entertainment purposes and is not an offer to sell franchises. If the Hot Seat introduces you to a franchise concept that interests you, you must do your own due diligence before making an investment. Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat. I'm your host, John Hayes, Director of the Franchise Center at Palm Beach Atlantic University. On today's episode of the Franchise Hot Seat, we feature a concept to be evaluated by our Dream Team. Let me introduce you to the Dream Team. CEO of United Franchise Group, Ray Titus. Managing Partner at Planet Fitness Midwest, John Clancy. MPK Equity Partners, Patrick McGee. Co-founder of Pillars of Franchising, Kristin Selmeczy. Co-founder and CEO, We Sell Restaurants, Robin Gagnon. First up in the hot seat.
I'm John Kanski. I'm the founder of Salty Dawg Pet Salon franchise. So it came from taking my dog to get groomed and not being able to get an appointment, not being able to get in. And so my wife is a hairdresser, so my wife just started grooming the dog. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this is interesting. This could be an opportunity. I'm a multi-unit franchisee at Palm Beach School. And along with my 2 partners over the last 20 years, we've been creating hairdressers to the tune of 176,000 hairdressers. Currently, we have 10,000 enrolled right now learning to become a hairdresser. And so what we want to do is see if we could take those hard skills that they learn, clipper over comb, scissor over comb, and translate that into the grooming business. And we've been able to do that successfully. With my 2 partners, we're going to try to disrupt the grooming industry and create pet stylists from that same pool of people. The pet space is the right space to be in. We've created the right process. It's the right time, and I believe that we can expand this as a 500+ unit franchise. Over the next 5 years, we can create 30,000 pet stylists that is well needed.
Franchise Hot Seat. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, I'm John Kanski. I am the founder of Salty Dawg Pet Salon. I'm also a multi-unit franchisee in a beauty school called Palm Beach School. And along with my 2 partners, we have created 170,000 hairdressers over the last 20 years. And so with Salty Dawg Pet Salon, have you noticed that more people are wanting to humanize their pet's experience? More people maybe are putting off family time to spend time with their pets. And so that humanized experience kind of creates a need. So Salty Dawg is an emerging brand, very new. And what we've done is created a system that has 2 tracks, 2 concerns. So the consumer concern is that, like I said, they want to humanize the pet experience. So we went and created, and also to try to get an appointment in a salon is important. And then where they take it, they want to make sure it's with someone who's qualified. So what we've done is we created a space that is a modern open concept so that the pet parent can watch their pet being through the process, which is very, very unique. We've also created a smell that's very unique. So it's not like the typical pet salon that you would go into. And of course, we've created a space that's branded and looks recognizable. Now, the other part is, as being a franchise, we feel like we built this as a franchise first. So we're addressing some of the, as a franchisee, addressing some of the franchise concerns that might come up. So what we're doing is we wanted to see if we could take hairdressers, using those hard skills that they've learned in schools, clipper over comb, scissor over comb, and translate that into grooming and create pet stylists. So what we've done is we give the potential franchisee access to a work solution, a workforce solution. Like I said, we start with the process of going into some of these schools, looking at alumni networks, and recruiting from there as far as the shifting careers from a cosmetologist to a pet stylist. A lot of these folks are sometimes not in the business after a couple years, but they still have all those hard skills. So we want to access into that. We've also created a workflow system that's quite unique, and that there's basically 3 steps that we take the pet through. So there's the bather, there's the clipper, and then the pet stylist. And so what we've been able to do is increase productivity and increase the service revenue per hour. So in a traditional grooming situation, you might have someone who does a dog for 3 hours and the cost is $90. You're really only generating $30 of service revenue per hour. So what we've done is we're taking that dog through the process so that the pet stylist at the end can actually do 3 dogs per hour, which gives us quite a bit more revenue to pay the stylist and take them through the process. The third piece that we created in the franchise is kind of a kinetic model. So the idea would be eventually through the coaching, you're going to become a pet stylist. We'll create more pet stylists than you have tables. And so that kind of creates that model of open up store 2, open up store 3. So within our franchise, you have a pet salon. You also have essentially what would be a pet training program or a pet school. And so what we're looking for, I'm looking for anywhere from an equity partner to expertise into some mistakes that I made early in the franchise process. Number 1, the franchise partner. Vetting the franchise partner so that they're in a position to truly do the system, to make sure that our unit economics and what we can produce in the store actually is reflective on paper. Number 2, we need marketing and we need tech. Those are kind of the things that I think attract more people, not only to the store for services, but also to potential franchisees. And in my world right now, I'm learning about the broker networks and I'm learning how to get into those situations to generate more leads for the franchise. But I would love to have a partner that could help me through that process that has those expertise. So Salty Dawg is really in the right space. It's the right product and the right solution, I think, to take something to a whole nother level. 500 plus stores, easy, when you look at the volume of dogs that are currently in the market and you look at what people are spending on in the pet space. In 2020, it went from $100 billion to projected in 2027 to $400 billion. So we know this space is going to blow up. Who's going to do the services? Well, we disrupted the beauty industry. We want to disrupt the dog grooming industry. That's Salty Dawg.
Very good, very good. Well, good job. And a couple quick questions, maybe for all of us here, but how much is the franchise fee? What's the total investment?
Yeah. So the franchise fee is $49.9. Yeah. Total investment on the low end is $150,000 to as high as $400,000.
Okay. Okay. And royalty fee?
Royalty fee is 6%. Okay. And then we also have a marketing fee in there and some tech fees, but royalty fee is 6%.
Very good.
How many units are open and how many franchises have you sold?
So we have 3 units open and we have 11 in development.
And those 3 units are franchised or corporate owned or both? 1
corporate owned, 2 franchise. Yes.
I have to tell you, as a dog mom of 3 dogs, I love the concept. I think one thing that I read about and watched in your video, you didn't really shout out, and the one thing you must know is that women in the household make the majority of the decisions, right? So that's us. And I'm surprised that you didn't shout out the partnership with Paul Mitchell, because I think that's a really big deal. Brand partnerships, especially one like that, shouts volumes to me. Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about that partnership that you have and how that works.
Yeah, so I'm in the emerging brands section when I usually do a show. And when we're talking with folks, we make that connection with Paul Mitchell because the founders were the founders of Paul Mitchell, the school, right? As far as Paul Mitchell, the brand, it's not a partner, it's not an owner in Salty Dawg. We want to make that delineation. But we kind of borrow a lot of horsepower from them. We have a lot of assets and a lot of things that we've learned from being in the Paul Mitchell network that I think kind of puts us in a slight step above maybe emerging. We've learned things like how to communicate, how to coach, how to train. We're in the education space, And some, you know, the cost of employees, even finding them right now, is very difficult. And so we've brought that solution. That's a partnership through Paul Mitchell. It's almost like they started 20 years ago creating hairdressers with the idea that maybe someday they might become pet stylists and we would be the ones to do that. And so that's really, I think, the marriage between us.
And do you find that to be the case? I mean, are you finding that to help solve some of the staffing issues? Because obviously you have salons were hit really big during COVID. Right now, I think all businesses are still reeling from staffing problems. Do you find that to be part of the solution for Salty Dawg?
Oh, 100%. There's no question. So for example, if you were a new franchisee, the first thing I would do is, where's the closest Paul Mitchell school? Let's get you in there and let's present as a guest artist. Let's show other career opportunities within the hair business other than just maybe cutting hair. And every time we do that in a school, we always have a list of names that are like, hey, you know what? I'd rather work with dogs than work with people.
What percentage of the hairdressers are willing to move over? And
yeah, that's a good question. So here's what I'll say. You know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think about this, like when you think about going into a career, usually like firemen, policemen, teachers, and they know very young. Hairdressers are the same. They've been cutting hair on their dolls. They're very dialed in. So now all of a sudden you're going to talk about, have you ever thought about being a pet stylist? When you walk them through the process and you let them see the environment that they're working in, and you're working with pets, you would be surprised at how many are like, you know what? I think I'd like to try that. And that's the beauty of Salty Dawg with this 3-step process that we take you through. So we'll bring you in as a bather. And again, it's not designed for you to stay as a bather, right? So we're going to work with you, we're going to coach you, we're going to take you through a training program, which we're good at making training programs. And then we move you into clipper. You're going to make a little bit more money. It's just the labor of removing hair. And then again, the pet stylist is where kind of the glory is, right? And it's all that fine detail work, scissors, clippers. That's really the difference. And so we've had great success in maybe someone who thought they would be doing runway and said, you know what, I really like working with pets.
Can you make as much money grooming pets as you can as a stylist for humans?
100%. And really, it's the model that allows that, because when you think about it, if we can get 3 dogs on the table an hour, and it's $90 an hour, that's $270 of service revenue an hour, versus in the traditional cradle to grave that we see right now that's out there, that's $90 for that 3 hours, tying up 1 table and 1 groomer.
And do you need a cosmetology license to groom pets?
You do not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could do all the training in-house, or do you
That's what we do.
rely on the training that one would receive in cosmetology school?
No. So we have 3 tracks. So if you're a new franchisee and you say, hey, my neighbor's a groomer, okay, we're going to work with them. They probably know how to groom. We'll just dust up on a few things, but then we're going to their training is going to be more about the culture and how we communicate in that process. But if you go out and you find a hairdresser and says, hey, I want to do this, we're going to spend a lot more, and we develop training for how to get them to become groomers, right? And then if you have somebody who's like, I want to buy this business, I love it, I want to do it, teach me, that takes a little bit longer, but we have a training built for that as well.
When you talk about culture, what do you do in terms of the community to kind of build a culture within your community?
Yeah, that's great. And by the way, in the Paul Mitchell world, that's one of the things that we inherited from our partnership. Giving back right out of the gate is really important. As a matter of fact, we don't want to wait till our company's huge to start doing that. We want to do it now. So what part of the training program is, we'll reach out to a local shelter, and we'll start on-site training there, getting pups ready for adoption. Learn, on-site washing, doing nails, and that goodwill, we've already established that with them. As well as we can do all kinds of fundraising events, from fashion shows to just having cut days where we can donate that money back. And we've forged some really good relationships with American Humane and as well as others.
So your big point of differentiation in this business model is really how you attract and staff through your workplace synergy. But there are a lot of hair cutting brands out there that are fighting for those same individuals. And hairstylists have a relatively short lifespan in the market, right? So how are you going to fight against those big brands to attract people to change course, really. Like they're going in thinking they're going to work on people and have them change course and adopt a strategy to now be in a pet environment. What's going to attract them to come over and do that?
Yeah, so there's several things to that. Number one, statistically, hairdressers, for one reason or another, after about 2 or 3 years, sometimes fall away from the business. So in our world, we have, like I said, that large alumni network. We're connected with them. Maybe they're not doing hair anymore. And just the idea of, hey, here's another career option. You already have those hard skills and we can get you into this position. And oh, by the way, you might make more money. So that's one option. The other thing is, it's not just, again, not to limit it just to hairstylists. That's just the catalyst. You know, the idea is once you have this kinetic machine running, you can start training in-house. I mean, that's really where the disruption needs to happen. There's not a core group. If I said, hey, let's go start a grooming salon, where are we going to find a groomer? Right? So even that first piece, it stumbles. Well, I'll tell you, let's go start here. And we've proven that out. And we can get hairdressers grooming within 2 weeks, which is a big deal. So a lot of times, you know, we start there, and then we have all kinds of cosmetology lists. The reason why they can't find hairdressers, they might be out of the field for 4 or 5 years. They don't have the confidence to think I can go back. I don't know formulation. But you know what? You know clipper over comb and scissor over comb, and we'll teach you the rest. Plus you can come back into a culture that you loved when you were a student, and that attracts as well.
Kristin, Salty Dawg is clearly going to disrupt an industry, but they're going to need talent to fill these jobs that they're going to create. What do you think about that?
Well, John, the one thing I think that Salty Dawg has done really well is to create a career path for the people that are working for them. So whether he gets them out of a Paul Mitchell school, which he's part owner of, several locations, and they come over that way, or if he grows them from being bathers, he talked about going to clippers and then going to an actual stylist. I think that's a really good way to not only engage and hire people, but to keep them for the long haul. They actually feel like they have a career trajectory. And if you recall, he did say they have just as much option to make as much money as an actual hairstylist. And I think that's really great.
Great. Good insight there, Kristin.
Sure, thanks.
Hey, John, what are your goals? What kind of scale are you looking at here?
Yeah, so we want to disrupt, right? So like I said, 20 years ago, there's a shortage in the hair business. We created 170,000 hairdressers. We're ready to create about 100,000 pet stylists. When you think about there's 300 million dogs in the United States right now, where are those dogs getting serviced? When you start looking around how many hair salons there are, it's kind of interesting the number of stores we can open, because in reality, you only need about 8 people to get a store fully functional and running. And those stores can generate sales projected between $500,000 to $1 million.
So what's your unit economics in the units you have open now?
I have no item 19.
What do you do? You have 3 open stores, right?
I have 3 open stores.
What are they doing in revenue approximately?
Right now, they're trending $30,000 a month.
30,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's gone up every month since they've been open.
Okay. And what kind of marketing you doing on that?
So most of our marketing is through like social. It's our own. We do a lot of marketing through social. We do a lot of marketing through the typical digital ads, Google ads, things like that.
All right. So how much are you spending in that? Approximately per unit?
Yeah. Each unit's spending about, I would say, somewhere to the tune of $3,000, $4,000 a month, easy.
Okay. So that's not bad. So you're doing 350,000-ish in revenue, and you're spending 30,000-ish in marketing.
Yeah.
Are these retail locations?
These are retail locations, but they don't have to be A locations. As a matter of fact, our unit in Atlanta is very much off center of the main street, and it does enormously well. Same with Katy, Texas. It's in Cinco Ranch, and it's very much a side street, and it does very well. Just takes a little traction, but once they know you're there, most people are looking for a groomer because you can't get a grooming appointment.
If you do 400,000 in revenue, what can you make?
20%.
20%.
Yes.
And you said something earlier about the design of the location. What makes it different? Is it glass, so you see everything? What?
Yeah, absolutely. So by the way, pet parents, I'm not sure if you have dogs, but
I do.
Okay, pet parents are very much, I mean, would you ever take your child to a barber shop and they take them in the back room and you're just like, and the child, you took in and the child you got back are totally different, you'd say, hey, pump the brakes, what's going on? So what we want to do is create a very open, transparent environment. It's branded very well, and here's the thing, it smells really good. That's something that people skip. Most of these grooming places don't smell good.
Are you doing that with aromatherapy?
Yes, well, pumped into the system.
That's great. It's a good idea.
Thanks.
So it costs $90 to get your pet groomed,
That's our average
roughly?
ticket. Yes.
So I don't have a dog, but how does that stack up with the rest of the market? And what are you at the high end?
Oh,
Are
no.
you average?
No, we're average.
Okay.
We're very average. The other thing I wanted to talk about is where the revenue can come from. Okay, so currently right now, we're looking primarily at services. Let's just say that represents 85 to 90% of the dollar. When you look at adding retail to it, food, toys, and treats, there's the real opportunity. Again, an equity partner means many things to me, and one of them, if we have access to someone who has strong retailing capability, the hair salon is stuck in that 90-10 world, and they have been forever. We want to get more into that 50-50 world. There were 2 different stores that we did some background research on. We tried to buy and convert. They were doing about a little over $1 million, $1.2 million, $800,000 in food, toys, and treats, $400,000 in grooming. So there's so much potential here that we're just getting started into. The other thing too, when it comes to revenue centers, we can pivot. We can pivot into where a lot of our competitors maybe are focused on very easily. We can go into health and wellness. That's something that's just a matter of training. When you go into a competitor, say a place that specializes in retail, and you say, why don't you do grooming? The first thing they'll say is, can you find me a groomer? Well, that's our focus. We're going to disrupt that first.
Yeah, this is extremely. I'm a dog. I have 3, just like you. My wife calls all the shots. You're right, 100%. But this is, from what I've seen. I've lived in New York, Connecticut, and South Florida now. Everywhere, it's fragmented. It's all over the place. There's no branding. You walk in, there's all walls everywhere. The dogs are gone. You come back, you come home. We just went to mobile because it was just not a great experience. Just like bringing your dog to like a dog sitting place either. That's not a great experience either. So I have people come to the house now. Yeah. So there's no marketing here, right? That's why when you said Paul Mitchell, if you were able to use that trademark at all, John, that could change everything because no one's done that in the pet space, the pet grooming space at least, right? Yeah. And everyone knows dog people will spend anything.
And you have a dog shampoo, right?
Right,
That's
so-
a Paul Mitchell branded shampoo?
Correct. John Paul started JP Pet, so he's got his own lines of, yeah.
I mean, that's huge,
and
right?
we carry that in our
That should be
stores.
on that sign. It should be on everything if you can legally do it.
Right.
That should be on all, in my opinion. And really just what you're talking about, having the glass, the aromatherapy. I've never seen, like from town to town to town to town, I've never seen, wow, look at this dog grooming place. They're everywhere.
No, right.
So you want to be that first guy, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
Absolutely.
I would recommend that you really articulate that when you present to anybody. Say, no one's ever done this to scale. We're going to do it to scale, and here's why. And in my opinion, that Paul Mitchell branding is how you will have people believe you could do it to scale. Because everyone's going to be like, yeah, sure, you're the first guy. Just think about it. Paul Mitchell's really the only one in hair that's ever done it to scale. So people are going to be like, oh, yeah, well, Paul Mitchell Dog, they can do it to scale because he's Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
Well, these franchisees that you currently have 3,
Yeah. Two franchisees.
2, and have they broken even yet?
The second one's broken even, and the first one's on his way to breaking even.
How will you scale that level of training, though? What's your plan for the future to scale that if you get to these 500 units?
So again, just like in the school, we've created all the curriculum. So we're really good at LMS. We're really good at creating the hands-on training. We're also really good at creating a network of some will be traveling stylists, some will be, hey, bring your stylist to us, and we'll have in-house trainings. We've seen that grow through Paul Mitchell. We've seen how they did that with the schools, and we mirrored that.
So let's see, Patrick, what did you think?
I thought this was great. I'm hot on this concept under one condition, which is I'm a cat guy. And so can I bring my cats in?
We do.
Okay, well, that's great.
Honestly, it's hard to market cats, so that's why some of it's missing, but we teach that as well.
Okay, well that's important. You're reimagining an industry. You've got a great concept, undoubtedly a lot of growth ahead of you. And thanks for taking care of the cats.
I could
I
see
would've
Patrick as a
never
cat
guessed.
guy. I could see it.
Could you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got cat guy written
Yeah,
all
totally.
Big cat guy.
I gotta sit somewhere else next time.
over.
I am smoking hot on this idea. Like seriously, I love this idea. I will get involved in any way I can. I think it is amazing, and I'm so down with what you said. There is not consistency. I'm tired of waiting for my groomer for 4 weeks. She's a nice lady, but it's not going anywhere. So this is the real deal. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm hot on this too. I think that you have the right industry at the right time, and you can solve their biggest problem. And if you can do that, then there's tremendous opportunity there. And where are you based out of?
So our company is based out of Houston, Texas.
Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Well, I think you've got a great foundation. I love your branding. I think you're in the right space. I think you're in the right spot, and we're very high on it.
Thank you.
I'm kind of warm on it, and here's why. The unit economics are just not rich enough for me. At 300 to 400,000 at 20%, like Ray pointed out immediately, you're breaking even there or not. I think you need that branding because you're spending enough on marketing, right? So that's the one thing I've never seen my groomer market, right? So you get it, right off the rip. So if you can get these unit economics up to, and in my opinion, you do that with the right branding, to 600,000 or 700,000 at 20%, then I'm hot.
Yeah.
Then I'm hot.
I'm going to do it.
Your goal should be, great, have a goal 500 units, great. First, take a step back. Your first goal should be, how do I get AUV to 500,000 to 600,000? Because then at 20%, you really have a business. People are in the black.
I'm in the same boat, and it all ties back to AUV. I'm a firm believer you can't make money in this business, so I'm medium, I'm in the middle. You can't make money in this business until you can get somebody lifted out of the idea of buying a job, and that AUV's got to be $500,000 to $750,000, so that there's going to be some real material earnings from the business. You're in the right space. Maybe you need to concentrate further on ramping up the retail side of the business. If that volume can be achieved there, then keep the grooming at, 375, 400,000. Get your retail up 200, 300,000. Give them plenty of margin and let them win that way. Then I'd be hot on the concept.
Absolutely.
You're a premier service. Why charge average pricing?
Right.
Right? So my franchise is a premium brand. I don't dumb down my pricing. If you want a value, you need if you're selling a premium product and you're providing a premium service in a premium environment
Yeah, your
with
place doesn't stink.
aromatherapy, right?
Aromatherapy.
Yeah, bump it up.
That's a 20%
$20.
markup right there.
Very.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean, you have to demand a price for what it is that you're going through to give them quality, trained professional.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on the Franchise Hot Seat. We really appreciate your time, and you got a great business model to kick this off.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Kristin, we got a lot of hots from the panel on this, but 2 are warm at best because the AUV is not high enough. Got any ideas on how Salty Dawg can improve the AUV?
I actually do. I think there's a couple things that John can do. He did speak a little bit about having some retail space in front of the store. I think those add-on sales could really help, especially if he wants to try to keep it high-end. And obviously his salon is going to be a little more high-end. And I also think he might look at a membership type model for these pet parents, keep them on a regular schedule, which that's one of the big problems that pet parents have, is not being able to get their pet in a timely fashion.
Great points. Let's get back to the program and see what they have to say.
Awesome.
I got extremely nervous, so I understand why they call it the hot seat. I absolutely appreciated the input, and that's what I'm looking for, are people that have done this, that are kind of the trendsetters that are pushing forward. I want to I want to ride on that wave, and I want to get that experience and that expertise. I want to compress time. You know, I'm not trying to scale this in 10 years, I want to scale this today. So what does that say? It's, time is our enemy, speed is our friend. So these guys are going to help give me speed and compress time.
Thanks for joining us for the Franchise Hot Seat. And remember, our purpose is to inform and educate. We are not selling franchises. Do your homework before investing in any business. Franchising is a powerful methodology for business ownership, and it may be the best way for you to own a business and build personal wealth. But franchising is not without risk, and it's not for everyone. Some quick thank yous to our sponsors. Transworld Business Advisors is the world leader in the marketing and sales of businesses, franchises, and mergers and acquisitions. They've got 240 offices worldwide. Accurate Franchising is a full-service consulting and development agency that helps franchise companies develop their brands and then expand via franchise sales. Crank Enterprises is a venture marketing company introducing a modern-day twist to private equity. Their mission: turn ideas into dough. You want to sit in the franchise hot seat, or do you have a question for the Titus Center? Contact me at tituscenter.com. I'm John Hayes, leading the Titus Center for Franchising, where we're educating the next franchise generation.